The spiritual boy is someone who is going to present themselves as really kind, probably really soft spoken, someone who's really thoughtful. Like they're going to be considerate in ways that most people that you've probably met never have been. They're going to seem like they're really enthralled with you at first, and they might even invite you into their spiritual worlds. They might even put you on to whoever they're into, their gurus, their ascended masters, so to speak. These are kind of certain signs that you might be dealing with an actual spiritual boy, because they can be really cunning, they can be really charismatic, and they can be really manipulative to the point where you will look up and all your shit is gone. I'm talking about not even just physically, I'm talking about your heart. The things that really make you shine have been usurped, have been taken from you. And I have dealt with someone who I didn't even see it at first. Of course, hindsight is 2020. I said this in my last video. But I dealt with someone who not only was an energy siphoner, but he was also someone who would take on like certain things that I would say, or certain things that I would embody. I noticed that he would start taking them on as though they were from him, and I got like no credit, and it was just ridiculous. So I feel like sign number one is that they're not interested in being invited into your world. And it's so easy when you meet this type of person to not realize that that's what's going on, that conversations tend to evolve around them and even their spiritual lives or their past, their childhoods, their traumas. But when it comes to you, they don't seem as interested, and you may be inclined to write that off as, oh, they're such a spiritual giant, or they may even have a lot of notoriety within their fields or within whatever world that maybe you two share. And so you may think, oh, I don't really have much to contribute, but you are an entire life. If someone is truly interested in you, they're gonna show that interest, and they're never gonna make you feel like what you contribute to whatever conversation is less than or not as important as what they contribute to the conversation. And that's just in general. I know that there are a lot of kind of like self-centered. I think we're all self-centered on certain levels, but there's a difference between someone who is just kind of like gets a little bit too chatty, overshares a little bit, and someone who just does not think that they don't hold you in any type of regard, and who doesn't think that your experience matters. And I just think that difference is very subtle. It can tend to come out maybe when it's too late, maybe after you've already shared your body with this person. And it could also come out after you have shared maybe some traumas with this person. So that's the second thing that I want to get into, how you know that you're dealing with a spiritual boy. They will use your traumas against you. They can be the most manipulative people because a lot of times they are read people. They probably read 48 Laws of Power. They probably have really studied different ways to be cunning and be manipulative, because a lot of times as much as they might try to convince you and everyone else that they don't like attention, that they're not interested in notoriety or fame. Please understand that is like something huge for them. All they want is attention. All they want is for people to know their name and to adore them. A lot of times they're not getting to know you because they're truly interested in you. They're using everything that you say as ammo for later, as a possible weapon. And so you really want to be careful about sharing your trauma with people. You really want to be careful about even kind of sharing your flaws, and they might even be inclined like to give you a little bit. They might even tell you who you are, and you just have to listen. A lot of times we don't listen. We think, oh, I just feel so privileged that this person is being honest with me. They told me that they're manipulative. They told me that they're a little bit selfish. They told me that they're a little bit attention seeking or sensitive, and they can be maybe even combative and competitive. They might tell you this thing. They might give you a little bit as kind of like the bait to get you to give them so much. And you're thinking, oh, we're connecting because we're doing this kind of trauma bonding. And it can be the most hurtful thing when that person later on throws that back into your face to try to make you feel like you're worthless. And a narcissistic or a spiritual boy will definitely do that. That's a huge sign, especially if it's like not even a deep argument, or in your head, you're not intending for it to be a disagreement at all. But they take something that you told them in confidence and that you told them in innocence, really, and they will use that to throw that back at you and project an image of yourself to you, in an effort to make you feel small, to make you feel like almost dependent on them in a way, to as your savior, as your redeemer. And that takes me into my third thing. A spiritual boy is kind of always gonna want you to see them as some sort of savior figure. Like, they're gonna create and kind of mold situations wherein you are the helpless or the stupid victim, and they are like the hero that comes in and saves you from yourself, when in reality they are the villain. They are the one creating the situations that you need saving from, and they very deliberately plant seeds of doubt in your mind to get you to become weakened and to get you to kind of be attached to them even more. Someone who truly loves you and who truly has your best interests in mind is going to lift you up. They're going to edify you. At the end of the day, it's really up to you, which is why I'm sharing this stuff, so that you can be empowered to understand when you're being manipulated, and that you can always come back to your center and take your power back when someone has kind of snatched it from you. So anybody who is interested in making you feel smaller and making themselves seem larger than they are, that's a red flag. And I think my fourth and final sign that you're dealing with a spiritual boy is that they have so much knowledge. They have all the books. They have watched all the seminars. They probably even are someone who teaches spiritual concepts and or gives classes in some type of way. They have some type of leadership capacity, and they do not practice that in their personal lives. So that can look like someone who is always preaching about how I am you and you are me, and we are mirrors of each other, and we are not separate. Like, if I'm upset with you, I'm really just upset with myself, and vice versa. Like, they love to talk like that, like we are all one, and you are just me meeting myself, and blah blah blah. But when it comes time to show empathy, they have no concept of that. The most simple, basic concepts of empathy, you find yourself like really grinding gears trying to get them to understand the most basic ways of how to respect you and love you, treat you right. Someone who is so learned in so many spiritual philosophies and concepts, but they don't understand how to speak to you without being mean, or they don't they find themselves always having to pick at something about you. It's like, how do you have all of this knowledge and you are touching so many different people, but you have such a hard time with just treating me kindly, and I'm the person that's in your bed, Or they may be someone who pushes sharing. They may think that rich people are terrible people because they hoard resources, but they have a hard time with giving up or sharing anything of theirs. They get really illogically upset when they feel like any small thing is being asked of them, and don't let them feel like it's being taken from them. Like, the claws come out, you know. And I have an example of that with my spiritual boy that I dealt with, and this is just one example. There are tons of them now that I'm looking back. I just was in it and I couldn't see it at the time. It just kind of caught me off guard because he had presented himself as someone who was like super generous and just super empathetic. It really was a foreshadowing of what was to come, because this man was so stingy. I even found myself like helping him in substantial ways a couple of different times, but later on when I found myself, you know, just kind of falling on harder times or needing more support because he was mentally fucking draining me and breaking me down, he could not even give the smallest. After I had like really been with this man at his lowest, he was like nickel and diming me. It was so strange, guys. And so, of course, I'm sharing these things from my lens and my experience, because it's supposed to reach whoever can resonate with it. It's not going to reach everybody, but these are just some ways to kind of understand if you're dealing with a spiritual boy. If he's not interested in kind of understanding your walk and your spiritual journey, your experience, if he uses what you do share with him against you, if he doesn't seem to like be very like live up to the standards that he's preaching about to everyone and trying to create this persona around, yeah, those are definitely some signs that you're dealing with someone that you need to get far away from, babe. He is wolf in sheep's clothing, and this doesn't just happen in the church. This doesn't just happen in like Judeo-Christian settings. It can be the most enlightened, you know, non-religious spiritual guy that can be the biggest monster that you've ever met. So be careful, boo.